Attacking maneuvers are offensive moves in professional wrestling, used to set up an opponent for a submission hold or for a throw. There are a wide variety of attacking moves in pro wrestling, and many are known by several different names. Professional wrestlers frequently give their finishes new names. Occasionally, these names become popular and are used regardless of the wrestler performing the technique. Professional wrestling contains a variety of punches and kicks found in martial arts and other fighting sports. The moves listed below are more specific to wrestling itself. Many of the moves below can also be performed from a raised platform. These are called aerial variations. Moves are listed under general categories whenever possible. Bell clap. The wrestler slaps both ears of an opponent simultaneously with the palms of his hands, distorting their balance. It is often used to escape a bear hug. Body press. Also known as a splash, a body press involves a wrestler falling against the opponent with the core of their body. It is executed from a running or jumping position, using momentum and weight to impact the opponent, and most variations can seamlessly transition into a pin. This attack is a plancha in lucha libre. Big splash. The big splash involves a wrestler jumping forward and landing stomach first across an opponent lying on the ground below. On some occasions a wrestler has a short running start before executing the move. Body avalanche. The wrestler charges into an opponent in the corner of the ring without leaving their feet, crushing them into the turnbuckle. This is normally used by bigger, heavier wrestlers. Crossbody, also known as crossbody block. This is a maneuver in which a wrestler jumps onto his opponent and lands horizontally across the opponent's torso, forcing them to the mat and usually resulting in a pinfall attempt. There is also an aerial variation, known as a diving crossbody, where a wrestler leaps from an elevated position towards the opponent. Thesz Press. This move, innovated by popularized and subsequently named after Thesz, sees the attacking wrestler jump towards a standing opponent and knock him over, resulting in the opponent lying on his back with the attacking wrestler sitting on the opponent's chest, pinning him in a body scissors. A variation of the Thesz Press, popularized by Stone Cold Steve Austin, involves the attacking wrestler jumping on a running opponent, then repeatedly striking the opponent in the face while in the mounted position. Stinger Splash, a move named after Sting, who popularized it. The Stinger Splash involves the wrestler trapping his opponent in a corner. The wrestler will then charge at the opponent, usually from the opposite corner, and launch himself at the opponent just before reaching him, resulting in him hitting the opponent with his chest and abdominal area, sandwiching the opponent between him and the turnbuckle. Tilt-A-Whirl Crossbody, an uncommon variation of the move which sees the wrestler being held and spun into a tilt-a-whirl by the opponent, and when the wrestler reaches a point where he is horizontally positioned against the opponent's torso, he falls down, pushing down the opponent onto his back against the canvas. This move is better described as a crossbody as a counter of a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Tilt-a-whirl mat slam. Vertical press. A vertical splash is a jumping attack made against a standing opponent, landing against the opponent's upper body while remaining upright, and bringing him down to the mat into a vertical splash position. Bronco Buster. In the Bronco Buster, an opponent is seated in the corner of the ring while the attacking wrestler jumps in the corner, straddling his or her opponent's body, and bounces up and down on the opponent's chest. The Bronco Buster is normally treated as having comic or sexual connotations rather than as a legitimately painful move, the latter particularly true during some matches between female wrestlers. Carranco Buster. Similar to a Bronco Buster, the attacking wrestler jumps onto a standing opponent in the corner, straddling and sitting on the opponent's chest, and rests his feet on the second rope. The attacking wrestler then follows with mounted punches. Chops. Backhand chop. The act of a wrestler to slap the chest of his opponent with the palm of the hand using a backhand swing. Many wrestlers use this chop, often referring to it as a knife-edge chop. Because it was popularized by Ric Flair, the crowd always responds with the woo noise. Cross chop. A variation of the aforementioned chop. The wrestler runs and lunges forward in a crossbody-esque fashion while crossing their arms in an X fashion and then hits a double backhand chop to the opponent. Forehand chop, sometimes referred to as a frying pan chop or an open hand chop. The act of slapping the chest of the opponent using the forehand. Kesagiri chop, a downward diagonal backhand chop to the side of the opponent's neck. Mongolian chop, the act of karate chopping both the opponent's shoulders and sides of the neck with the hand's edges in a swinging motion at the same time. Overhead chop, also known as a brain chop or a tomahawk chop. The wrestler draws his hand back and hits the opponent vertically with a backhand chop, usually hitting the head. This move is primarily used by large, very tall wrestlers such as the Great Khali and Andre the Giant. Clothesline. A clothesline is a move in which one wrestler runs towards another and extends his/her arm out from the side of the body and parallel to the ground, hitting the opponent in the neck or chest and knocking him over. This move is often confused with a lariat. Cactus Clothesline, a clothesline used by Mick Foley that is named after his Cactus Jack gimmick. The attacking wrestler charges at an opponent who is against the ring ropes and clotheslines him/her, and the force and momentum from the charge knocks both the wrestler and the opponent over the top rope and onto the floor. Corner clothesline, a clothesline used by a wrestler where instead of knocking a standing opponent, the wrestler charges against an opponent on the corner. Leaping clothesline, also known as a jumping clothesline or flying clothesline. This move involves the attacking wrestler running towards an opponent, then leaping into the air before connecting with a clothesline. This variant use is commonly associated with The Undertaker and Roman Reigns. Another version sees an attacking wrestler leap up into the air and connecting with a clothesline onto an opponent leaning against the corner turnbuckle. Rebound clothesline, as the opponent runs to the ropes on one side of the ring and rebounds against them. The attacker also runs to the same ropes and rebounds against them after his opponent has done so, ensuring that he is behind his opponent. As his opponent then turns around to face the attacker, which is behind him, the attacker executes a regular clothesline to his opponent. Short-arm clothesline, also known as a short clothesline or short-range clothesline. This variation is set up by Irish whipping the opponent, but holding onto the arm. When the held arm is completely extended, the wrestler pulls the opponent back and clotheslines him with the other arm. Alternatively, this move can be performed in the same fashion, but following an arm wrench or wrist lock instead of an Irish whip, or by simply grabbing hold of one of the opponent's arms with one of the wrestler's hands, pulling it towards the wrestler and clotheslining him with his spare arm. Springboard clothesline, with a multitude of variations. This move implies that the wrestler jumps onto a rope and springboards off it into the opponent. The most basic version is the wrestler is on the apron, then goes to the top rope, and hits it on the opponent in the ring or onto the floor. Another version has the wrestler jump to the second rope, springboard off over the top rope, and clothesline the opponent on the apron. Three-point stance clothesline. In this move, a wrestler uses a three-point stance and then clotheslines his opponent. Double axe handle, also known as a double sledge, Polish hammer or double axe hammer. The Polish hammer name comes from its most noted user, Ivan Putski. The other names come from the attack mimic in the motion seen when people swing a sledgehammer or axe. There is also a top rope variation. Drops. Drops are moves in which wrestlers jump or fall down onto a person on the floor, landing with a specific part of the body but drop, chop, drop. The wrestler either falls forward, or jumps up and drops down, hitting a lying opponent with a backhand chop on the way down. The wrestler usually lands on his knees. Elbow drop. An elbow drop is a move in which a wrestler jumps or falls down on an opponent, driving his or her elbow into anywhere on the opponent's body. A common elbow drop sees a wrestler raise one elbow before falling to one side and striking it across an opponent. Another common elbow drop is the pointed elbow drop that sees a wrestler raise both elbows up and drop directly forward, dropping one or both elbows onto the opponent. Corkscrew elbow drop. This variation sees the wrestler raise one elbow before falling and simultaneously twisting around as they fall to one side, striking the opponent with the elbow anywhere on their body. Sometimes, the wrestler will swing one leg around before they fall, gaining momentum for the corkscrew twist, first invented by Nature Boy Buddy Landel in 1984. Spinning headlock elbow drop. This is any elbow drop which is performed after applying a headlock. The most widely known variation is an inverted facelock elbow drop, in which a wrestler puts his opponent into an inverted facelock and then turns 180 degrees, dropping the elbow across the opponent's chest, driving him down to the mat. Another variation of this move sees the executor use their whole arm as a lariat instead of just the elbow. A side headlock can also be executed from a jumping position, and twisted around into a sit-out lariat. Fist drop. A fist drop is a move in which a wrestler jumps, falls down on an opponent, driving his fist into anywhere on the opponent's body. Forearm drop. A forearm drop is a move in which a wrestler jumps down on an opponent, driving his forearm into anywhere on the opponent's body. Headbutt drop. A headbutt drop is a move in which a wrestler jumps, falls down on an opponent, driving his head into anywhere on the opponent's body. Knee drop. A knee drop is a move in which a wrestler jumps, falls down on an opponent, driving his knee into anywhere on the opponent's body. It is often sold as more powerful if the wrestler bounces off the ropes first. Knee drop. Bulldog. A version of a knee drop that involves the wrestler placing one knee against the base of the opponent's neck, who is leaning forward, then dropping. This forces the opponent's head down to the mat, while landing on the opponent's upper body, and driving his knee to the neck of the opponent. There is also a diving version. Leg drop. A move in which a wrestler will jump, fall and land the back of his leg across an opponent's chest, throat, or face. Elbow. An elbow attack sees the wrestler using his elbow or back elbow to connect it to the opponent's chest, face, neck, etc. Back elbow, also known as a reverse elbow. The wrestler stands with his back to a standing or a running opponent, and strikes the opponent with the back of the elbow. Bionic elbow. This move is a strike that is brought from a high position and travels vertically toward the floor, dropping the point of the elbow directly on the target. This type of 12-6 elbow is illegal in many mixed martial arts organizations, including the UFC and Strikeforce. Cornerback elbow. The wrestler strikes a back elbow to a cornered opponent, lying against the corner. This is usually struck from a running wrestler. Discus back elbow. The wrestler faces away from the opponent, spins around to face away from the opponent and strikes the opponent's face with a back elbow. Discus elbow smash, or more commonly named the roaring elbow, sees the wrestler facing away from the opponent, spins 180 degrees from the direction he stood, and then strikes the opponent with an elbow smash. Another variation sees the wrestler first facing the opponent, spins a full 360 degrees to face the opponent again to hit the opponent, an elbow smash. Elbow smash. The wrestler makes a punching motion, but tucks his or her hand towards the chest so the elbow and forearm make contact. These can be used in place of punches because striking with a clenched fist is illegal in most wrestling matches. Mounted elbow drop. The wrestler approaches a cornered opponent, climbs the second or top rope beside the opponent with one of his legs on either side of the opponent. The wrestler then jumps off the ropes, and then delivers a bionic elbow to the opponent's head, neck or the shoulder. Short arm elbow smash. This variation of an elbow smash is set up by Irish whipping the opponent, but holding onto the arm. When the held arm is completely extended, the wrestler pulls the opponent back and hits him with an elbow smash using the other arm. Alternatively, this move can be performed in the same fashion, but following an arm wrench or wrist lock instead of an Irish whip, or by simply grabbing hold of one of the opponent's arms with one of the wrestler's hands. pulling it towards the wrestler and elbowing him with his spare arm. Face wash. With an opponent sitting against the bottom corner turnbuckle, an attacking wrestler repeatedly rubs the sole of their boot across the face of the opponent, and then executes either a running front kick, a running knee, a running low-angle big boot, a running low-angle single-leg dropkick, or other strikes that first see the attacking wrestler rebound off the opposing ropes and charge at the opponent. Forearm Club. An attacking wrestler uses one hand to take hold of an opponent and lean him forward while extending his or her other arm in a raised position and clenching the fist of that hand before throwing the arm forward down onto the opponent, using his or her forearm and clenched fist to club the opponent across the back of his or her head, neck. This will often send the opponent to the mat front first. A lesser-used version of this move can see the attacking wrestler take hold of an opponent and lean him or her backwards to expose his or her chest area, allowing the attacking wrestler to club the chest of the opponent and send him or her to the mat back first. Forearm Smash. An attacking wrestler charges at the opponent and then hits the opponent in the chest or face with a forearm to force them back and down to the mat. Flying forearm smash. While running towards an opponent, an attacking wrestler would leap up into the air, before connecting with a forearm smash. Headbutt. An attack where a wrestler uses his head to strike a part of the opponent's body, usually the head or skull, to daze him. Unlike a legitimate headbutt, the pro wrestling version most often impacts with the opponent's forehead, counting on the superior hardness of the wrestler's head and the momentum delivered to hurt the opponent without hurting the wrestler. Many wrestlers deliver a headbutt to an opponent's head by holding the opponent's head and delivering the headbutt to their hand instead, relying on the intervening hand to cushion the blow. Battering Ram. The wrestler stands facing an upright opponent, lowers their head and then jumps or charges forwards, driving the top of their head into the abdomen of the opponent. There is also a double-team version of the move, trapping headbutts. The wrestler holds both the opponent's arms under his own, and delivers a series of headbutts to his opponent, who is unable to counter. Knee strikes. Attacks where a wrestler will strike an opponent using their knees. The idea of using knees as an offensive weapon is popular throughout British wrestling. Go to sleep, also known as the go to sleep and sometimes abbreviated to GTS. This move sees a wrestler place an opponent in a fireman's carry and proceed to drop the opponent in front of them. While the opponent is falling, the wrestler quickly lifts a knee up, striking the opponent in the face. Kenta, the creator of the move, also uses an inverted variation in which he lifts his opponent into an Argentine backbreaker rack, throws his opponent forward, and strikes the back of the opponent's head with his knee. Former WWE wrestler CM Punk is also known for using the move. Double knee. An attack where a charging wrestler strikes both of their knees simultaneously into the head, chest or back of the opponent. High knee. An attack in which a wrestler will charge towards their opponent, then jump up and raise their knee so that it hits the opponent, usually into the side of the head or face. This move has been closely associated with Harley Race, often being referred to as a Harley Race-style high knee. It has later been popularized as a signature move by WWE superstar Triple H. Running single-leg high knee. Similar to a running single-leg dropkick, the attacking wrestler runs and leaps toward an opponent while bending one of his knees, striking the opponent in the face with the bent knee. This move was made popular in Japan by Kenta Kobayashi. The move was later adopted by WWE wrestler Daniel Bryan. Shining Wizard. A strike delivered to an opponent down on one knee. After stepping off the opponent's raised knee with one foot, the wrestler swings his other leg and strikes the opponent's head with either the side of his knee or his shin. A slight variation, which sees the wrestler use a running enziguri to the kneeling opponent's head without the use of the opponent's knee for leverage, is known as a shining apprentice. Many other shining attacks exist, including big boots and drop kicks. The Shining Wizard can be applied to a standing opponent as well. This would be likely applied by stepping off the opponent's chest and then delivering a knee smash to the opponent's face. The move was created by Keiji Muto, otherwise known as the Great Muta. Spinning knee, also known as a discus knee or rolling knee. The wrestler advances towards the opponent, performs a 360 degrees spin and uses the momentum to deliver a jumping knee strike to the opponent's head. This maneuver can be delivered to a sitting or standing opponent. Hip attack, also known as a butt bump, butt thump. This attack is usually performed with a running start, when wrestler jumps into the air, spins around, and thrusts his pelvis backwards, thus hitting the opponent's head or chest with his hip or buttocks.